Yo, what is up? What is good? Welcome into the show. This is Philadelphia Eagles Now, and we are live right here on Chat Sports. It's a fine Wednesday with all of my great people out there, and we have a great show on tap for today's Philadelphia Eagles Now. Producer Chip on the ones and twos. I am your fearless leader, Chase Sr. Coming up here on the docket, is Haason Reddick returning to the Eagles, and did owner Jeffrey Lurie hint that Reddick is going to be back on a new deal? Howie Roseman's right-hand man in the front office is leaving. We have some blockbuster trade targets that we're going to talk about, how the new NFL rule changes impact the Philadelphia Eagles. And as always, we want this to continue to be the go-to spot for Eagles fans, and we want you to be a part of our shows. As part of that, we're going to take your questions, take your hot takes, use the hashtag Eagles, or if you want to be guaranteed to be featured in one of our mailbags, you can also send in a super chat, which goes a long way in supporting the show. As for point number one and story number one that we'll expand on further here in just a moment, Jeffrey Lurie from the NFL owners meetings yesterday saying this when asked about Haason Reddick. He's, by the way, a terrific player, great person, great background in Philadelphia. It'll play itself out in a very good way. So the Eagles owner hinting maybe that Haason Reddick is going to be back on a new deal. Why else would he say it'll play itself out in a very good way? We'll expand our thoughts on that coming up here in just a few minutes. Let's hear from you. Sound off down in the comment section here. Do you want Haason Reddick back in Philadelphia? Why for yes and for no? I see Michael Wallace, Reed Barkus, Jerome Durant, Key Time Bill, Hassan, Romeo is in the building, High Hopes 92, Joey Bag of Donuts, Jones Boy 82, and John Monroe all in the comment section right now. Michael Wallace saying, hey Chase, Westchester here. Shout out to the 610 Bayard Rustin class of 2010. By the way, I can't believe we're approaching 14 years since I graduated high school. I feel as though that was just a couple of years ago. It's wild. Joey saying yes, he wants Reddick back. Miguel, yes. Sierhosis, yes. George, yes. Herbert, yes. Reed said for the right price. And I'm looking at our pinned comment right now with the question attached, would you pay Haason Reddick $25 million per year? It is 50-50 right now with 197 votes. So continue to get your votes in there. Get the comment section going. And how about this? We have Romeo in the building. We have Elijah in the building and a lot of other real ones here. Here's our Super Chat menu on this wacky Wednesday. All Super Chats get a shout out. Last call to enter our March jersey raffle. All throughout this month of March, anybody who has sent in a $10 Super Chat or more has been entered to win an Eagles jersey, and we'll tally those numbers up at the end of March. We'll announce the winner next week. Philadelphia Eagles Now on Wednesday. So if you've sent in 20 $10 Super Chats, that's 20 raffle tickets to win an Eagles jersey. $20 for a beer cheers today, $50 for a beer bong, $100 for a shotgun. Get on the show today, use the hashtag Eagles, or send in a super chat. We'll do some drinking at the end of the show, 4 segments to get to if those super chats do come in. And as part of those super chats, you can ask a question to be featured on our mailbag. Let's talk some birds. We have more than 200 people watching, and the show hasn't even started yet. If you're ready to begin, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. We can't start talking some football until we get at least 100 likes, and with this many people watching, it should be very easy to reach that number. Really helps the show, helps other people on YouTube see what we're doing here, and obviously it makes the show a lot more fun. Al Capper liking the video, King Xavier, Joey, Don, the Latinferno, Kelly and IBH, Reed also in the house, Matthew Gant, I see you as well, and producer Chip, I see him right here to my right. Say what's up to the people.
Let's go, baby. Hey, Chase said it. 4 segments. Let's talk some birds, baby. Like that video. Let's go. It's been a minute. Let's do it. Philly, baby.
Philly. We're at 69 likes right now.
Nice.
Very nice. How much? But We're how much from 100? 30 likes away now because now we are up to 70. Continue to pepper that thumbs up icon and like the video because if you're ready to start the official show, we need you to show us some love back. We're up to 75 likes. $10 super chat coming in from Romeo. He says, man, I'm already hyped for the season. Hopefully Kellen Moore can get our fundamental execution down and Vic Fangio brings some high-level performance. Let's go Birds. Everybody type LGB in the comment section for Let's Go Birds. That is going to be a raffle ticket for our guy Romeo. We're 8 likes away from 100. More likes that we get, the more people who come in here, as evidenced by now the 244 people who are with us on this Wednesday. Al Capra said LGB. I didn't have to say, let's go Brandon. It's let's go Birds. You see what I'm doing there? Let's go Birds, not let's go Brandon. But if you're a part of Let's Go Brandon, that's fine too. It's America. You can do whatever the hell that you want. Tanya, Theus, King, Cirrhosis, Shark Boss, Chico, Junior Vila, type in that LGB. Everybody's a part of the Let's Go Birds crew. Pete Williams saying one more year. Let's go. Luis, Phil, Al Capper, Junior Vila. You know what I like about Al Capper? Sometimes he'll call me out, but I appreciate the honesty from my guy. And Al also saying, Chase, you are a genius. Everybody who's watching the show is a genius because you picked the correct spot to get your Eagles coverage. All right, we got past 100 likes. We're approaching 300 people watching live. 4 segments coming up on the show. So without further ado, let's talk some Eagles right now. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! Hope everybody out there is having a fantastic Wednesday. Coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles. Now, did Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie say that Haason Reddick is coming back and a new deal is in the works? Also, Howie Roseman losing his front-hand man as the Birds losing a key member of their front office who has really helped Howie Roseman negotiate a lot of these contracts. He's worked with the coaching staff, and he's been a genius as part of this organization. First, Eagles owner Jeffrey Lurie speaking yesterday from Orlando from the NFL owners meetings. It's the annual NFL meeting in which the league, Roger Goodell, all teams, coaches, general managers, they get together to really look ahead to the 2024 season. This is where new rules are voted on, new rules are released, and of course the owners and the coaches do speak with the media. And as part of that, Jeffrey Lurie said this. Haason Reddick, by the way, is a terrific player, a great person, great background in Philadelphia. All of this will play itself out in a very good way. Would Jeffrey Lurie say that if he wasn't confident that Reddick and the Eagles at some point would come to an agreement on a new contract extension which pays Haason Reddick, but is also very friendly for the Eagles organization? Because that quote is pretty telling. It'll play itself out in a very good way. With that, did Lurie hint that Reddick is going to be back? As many of us know, his roster bonus pushed back to April 1st. Bought the Eagles some more time to maybe find a trade partner or to work out a contractual agreement. He is due $1 million on that bonus. And a lot of the buzz out there is that Haason Reddick wants a new contract which pays him about $10 million more than what he's been making in the first 2 years of that deal, up to $25 million. And the Eagles want a second-round pick back for a player who's been one of the top edge rushers in the game over the last 4 years, but up to this point, they haven't gotten a viable offer. This upcoming season, final year of that 3-year contract, which up to this point has been a bargain for the Eagles, considering Reddick had 16 sacks in 2022, 11 sacks in 2023, is $16 million. But part of the reason why Reddick wants a new deal, no financial security at all. That money this year is all non-guaranteed. And you think about the Brian Burns trade from the Carolina Panthers to the New York Giants. The trade, in addition to the contract extension, has kind of altered the edge rusher market to a certain degree. And I can only imagine that Reddick and his camp are looking at that, and they're trying to use that as leverage into getting a new deal. You look at the trade details here, then we'll look at the contract details. The Giants received Brian Burns, who's still a young player. Since coming into the league, he's been one of the best edge rushers in the game. So the Giants get him in addition to a 5th-round pick, number 166 overall in the upcoming 2024 draft. All the Panthers got a 2nd-round pick, number 39, right outside that 1st round, a 5th-round pick this year at 141, and a 2025 5th-round pick. The Panthers settled for this deal and held on to Brian Burns when the Los Angeles Rams this past year were said to be offering a 1st-round pick or 2. That's why the Panthers are one of the worst-run organizations in the game. Not only did the Giants have to trade for Burns, but this is also what's flipped the edge rusher market on its head, because New York made Burns one of the highest-paid non-defensive players in the history of football. They signed him to a 5-year deal, total money, $141 million, $28 million per year. That's just under Chris Jones, by the way. Nick Bosa is making $34 million average annual value, $76 million in guaranteed money, and the total guarantees, $87.5 million. And for Haason Reddick, he looks at Burns, he looks at himself, he looks at the production of both of them, and he's probably saying, well, hold on. Brian Burns is now making $28 million. I have $16 million coming my way, but it's all non-guaranteed. And over the last 5 years, I've been the more productive player. More sacks, 51.5 to 46. More pressures, 258 to 246. More hurries, 157 to 144. Doesn't have the edge in quarterback hits. That goes to Burns as well as TFLs. And Brian Burns probably better as a player who can drop back in coverage because he was asked to do that a little bit more. And some people think that Reddick is a one-dimensional guy who can only get after the quarterback. That's partially true. I'll tell you this about Reddick, though. What he's been able to do is so spectacular as far as the consistent production the last 4 years. He's one of 3 players in the NFL to have 9 or more sacks in 4 straight seasons, in addition to Myles Garrett and Leonard Floyd. And you know what? In 2023, I actually thought he became a little bit of a better run defender. But here's where Burns might have the slight edge in some of these negotiations over Reddick. He's entering his age 26 season. Haason Reddick entering his age 30 season. That 4-year gap is pretty sizable here. But Reddick is probably looking at the market like, yo, Myles Garrett is making $25 million, and you have Brian Burns making $28 million, and here I am the last 2 years, I've made about 15, 16 coming my way this upcoming year. And I'll tell you this about Myles Garrett, coming off that Defensive Player of the Year season in 2023, that $25 million is probably a bargain for Cleveland because he's definitely a better player than Brian Burns. The issue with Reddick, the age, but also he's not quite in that tier 1 of edge rushers. He's probably in that tier 1B or tier 2. But again, the Brian Burns deal has kind of flipped the market on its head. So with that, this is today's poll question here. How much should Haason Reddick demand per year? Oftentimes we ask you to get in the shoes of Howie Roseman. Now, I want you to be in the shoes of the player, his agent, and his camp. They go to the negotiating table here. How much should Haason Reddick be asking for average annual value? Coming up next here on the show, the Eagles losing a key member to their front office, and this is a massive loss for the Philadelphia Eagles and Howie Roseman. Stay tuned to find out why and who that is. But first, our sponsor for today's Eagles Now is Game Time. If you're looking for the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed, Game Time is the only app that you should be using, and it's the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you even buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. Buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps right from your phone. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event. Or if you're driving by Citizens Bank Park, you want to go to a Phillies game, you're coming back from the Jersey Shore, You can even get tickets an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals as well and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account, redeem the code CHATSPORTS, you get $20 off your purchase. Next up here on the show, this man here to my right is Jake Rosenberg, the salary cap executive for Philadelphia and a childhood friend of Howie Roseman. In this front office, as the Eagles have become and have been one of the most well-run organizations in the sport, Rosenberg has been the right-hand man for Roseman. And he's leaving when his contract expires after the conclusion of the 2024 NFL Draft. His formal title is the VP of Football Administration. He hopes to stay in the NFL so that he can pursue his goal of being a general manager. Right now, Howie Roseman's obviously in his way, so he wants to put out some feelers and see if he can become a GM elsewhere for a different organization after all of the experience he's been able to compile with Philadelphia. Here's what Rosenberg had to say to Jeff McLean of the Philadelphia Inquirer. Over a pretty extended period of time, I've just thought to myself that if it doesn't seem like it's in the cards for me to advance in this league and have a chance to keep pushing and growing, that at the end of the day, what is involved to do this in terms of a life perspective, it's not going to be worth it. Roseman and Rosenberg have known each other since elementary school. So they've known each other since elementary school. They've both had dreams of working in the National Football League, and they've been hand in hand with the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of their work, obviously, behind the scenes, but that work pivotal to the Eagles' success. Here's what Howie had to say about his best friend and co-worker, who's soon to be his ex-co-worker. Over the last 12-plus years, Jake has been so important to our team and a big part of our success. More importantly, a true friend who has built lifelong relationships here throughout this league and beyond. While I hate to lose him, I wish him nothing but success going forward. I wish we could keep him, but he and I have always discussed how important it is to continue to grow and look for new challenges. He deserves the opportunity to become a free agent, and whatever he decides is next, I know he's going to be successful. Rosenberg was Roseman's chief strategist, and he was involved in player signings, helping Philadelphia manipulate the cap, pull off those salary cap gymnastics. How many times have we seen Philadelphia sign a player to a deal or manipulate the cap, and we're like, that's genius. Rosenberg's been a part of that. He's helped with player acquisitions, but also his role included player evaluation here and working with the coaching staff. Howie Roseman, outside of Rosenberg, has been able to build up a really good front office. Alec Hallaby had some interviews elsewhere for some general manager gigs across the NFL, and Howie has churned out high-level executives who have gone elsewhere to prominent roles in other front offices, including general manager jobs. So I think Philadelphia is going to be okay, but this is like losing a COO of a company when you're the CEO. It's a big deal. And as we know, Howie and the Birds have been geniuses with the salary cap over the last several years. Before we hop on out of here, anybody watching the show right now, I hope that you come across this channel and you feel as though we give you informative, entertaining, insightful content. It's also consistent content. Do you want Eagles shows year-round? That's what we do. This is the standard for Eagles Talk on YouTube. So join the party, join the movement, hit that sub button, and let's get to 74,000 subscribers. Here's our Super Chat menu if you want to donate and send in a tip to the show. And also, we have a lot of fun. All Super Chats get a shout-out. $10 gets you entered into our March jersey raffle. Anytime you send in a $10 Super Chat, that is one ticket to win an Eagles jersey from us. $20 for a beer cheers, $50 for a beer bong, $100 for a shotgun. Let's party. That was segment 1 of 4. Segment number 2 coming up. Our 4th segment, we're going to be taking your questions. So get involved. Use the hashtag Eagles or send in a Super Chat. That's how you can be a part of the show. That's hashtag Eagles or
sir.
send in a super chat.
Let's go, baby. Get your voice heard, man. This is your chance to chop it up with us. Got a question? Ask away.
Recent commenter club, Jake, Key Time Bill, Cool Rains, Shark Boss, Robin SJ. Appreciate all of you for watching. And let's get to segment number 2. We're going to have some fun here. And in speaking of Howie Roseman, how about some blockbuster trade targets for Philadelphia? That's what we're going to get into next here. We see a bandwagon Chiefs fan in the chat. Fraud, fraud,
Fraud, fraud, fraud, fraud, fraud, fraud. I don't like that his name's Jake, though. I can't associate with that man.
Jake
I
and
can't
Jake.
associate with that
But
man.
since he's a fraud Chiefs fan, people are calling him Jake the Flake.
Oh,
Jake the Flake.
Jake the fake, Jake the snake.
Tanner Plummer, I see him talking ish to that Chiefs fan as well. All right, let's move on to segment number 2, some blockbuster trade targets for Philadelphia. Chip, you ready to rock? I'm ready to rock. If you're ready to rock, hit that thumbs up icon, like the video, type me, and let's continue to move forward with today's live program. Coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles now, through the initial wave of free agency, Philadelphia's really been able to stack up that roster. But coming up on the docket for today, blockbuster trade targets, big name players, and big time moves that Howie Roseman and this front office, as well as the Eagles, can make to improve this roster. Before we take a look at those trade targets, make sure you subscribe to the show. If you want daily shows on the Birds, this is your go-to spot. We're approaching 74,000 subscribers, and we are the largest independently run Eagles channel right here on YouTube. So many other content options out there. Anytime you hang out with us, we're so grateful because it's certainly a competitive space and a crowded space, and I think we are the best. Thank you for your support. Blockbuster trade target number 1, Patrick Surtain, cornerback of the Denver Broncos. 3 years in the league. He's already been an All-Pro. He's already been a Pro Bowler. And why a Surtain trade makes sense for the Broncos as well as the Eagles. Denver is in a position right now where as an organization they're starting to rebuild. And Patrick Surtain is due what is going to be a massive contract extension. And thanks to the Russell Wilson fallout, the Broncos are a little bit tight on cash. They've released Justin Simmons. They've had to rework some deals. And because of that, does it make sense for a rebuilding team to pay $20+ million potentially to a young cornerback when they have other needs elsewhere, especially trying to find a quarterback and stacking up the offensive side of the ball? Philadelphia, on the other hand, they're starting cornerbacks in Darius Slay, James Bradbury, starting to get up there in age. And Patrick Surtain is a franchise cornerstone who can be a key member of this defense for many years to come. I think the foundation has been set for what it might take to get Surtain with the L'Jarius Sneed trade. And there are a couple of elements that we have to unpack here with the Tennessee Titans bringing in L'Jarius Sneed. They got Sneed in addition to a 2024 7th-round pick. And the Chiefs received a 3rd-round pick and a 7th-round pick. That is not a lot for a player who was one of the top cornerbacks in the game this past year. But a big reason for that is the Titans had to trade for Sneed and then give him a new deal, which pays him about $19 million per year. That's what diminished the value a little bit as far as the return for Kansas City. And the Chiefs, as we know, paying big-time dough to Patrick Mahomes. They gave the bag to Chris Jones, highest paid defensive tackle ever. They want to re-sign a player like Nick Bolton, a couple of other young players on that team who they're looking to lock up as well. And the Eagles secondary, I still think is an issue here. Darius Slay, as Howie Roseman said from the NFL owners meetings, played really well against some top-flight wide receivers last year. And I still think that he's playing good football. Outside of that, we're not sure if Tyler Hall for sure is going to be the slot corner. James Bradbury this past year in 2023 was abysmal. It looked as though he might be cooked overnight, but throughout his career, he's had one good year, one bad year, one good year, one bad year. But the point here being, you pair up Darius Slay with Patrick Surtain, this position group here goes from a weakness to a strength. And I get it. Isaiah Rodgers has not been re-implemented and reinstated to the NFL following that gambling suspension. He probably is, and he can play outside corner. I like what I saw from Keely Ringo and Eli Ricks at moments, but they were also shaky in other moments. Those players are not Patrick Surtain. And Philadelphia this offseason, I believe, has improved the defensive line. We'll see what happens with Reddick. They've improved linebacker with Devin White, Oren Burks. Not hard to do from what we saw in the slop last year. And they got better at safety with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They get a good corner in here like Patrick Surtain. That defense is really looking up as far as the arrow pointing up. The alternative option is that the Eagles could save a lot of coin, wouldn't have to give up as many trade assets or pay as much money for a number one corner in Patrick Surtain if they drafted a number one corner, which brings us to blockbuster trade target number 2, and that's Quinyon Mitchell, the cornerback out of Toledo. What Philadelphia would have to do here is trade up in the 2024 NFL Draft. The big question with Mitchell, where is he going to go? We're going to find out early in the draft because how many quarterbacks are going to go inside the top 5, the top 10? How many wide receivers will go inside the top 10 to top 12 picks? That could determine where Mitchell goes. Because if Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix, and Bo Nix all go within inside the top 15, let's say, that's going to cause a lot of really good players to slide down the draft order, and then all of a sudden the Eagles are sitting pretty at number 22. We'll see if Penix and Bo Nix do go at some point in the first round or if they go in the first round at all, but we certainly see some crazy things happen, and teams are desperate for the quarterback spot. So how many quarterbacks go could make it more realistic for the Eagles to trade up to, let's say, from 22 to that 13 to 15 range. And that's realistic because the Eagles have 2 second-round picks and 3 picks inside the top 60 that they can use at their disposal. And I say this with a lot of certainty. I don't think Mitchell's going to be there at number 22. That's why he's included in our blockbuster trade targets. I think this is a day one plug-and-play starter, and I think he's the best cornerback in this draft class. His numbers this past year at Toledo, while also setting the record for the most PBUs in Toledo history, were fantastic. Pro Football Focus overall grade of 91.5, coverage grade 91.6, allowed a completion rate of 43.5%, passer rating of 51.1. He can play man, he can play zone. Man coverage grade of 88.7, zone coverage grade of 85.9, so the instincts are there for both. 17 pass breakups, only 1 pick, but he did drop 3 interceptions, and you know the saying out there, that's why he's playing defense. I like the size, I like the agility, I like the athleticism, and all this translates to what I think is going to be a very solid corner in this league. Relative athletic score of 9.75 out of 10. He's 6 foot, 195 pounds. That's solid size for a corner. Very good vertical leap at 38 inches. That's why it's in the green there. And he ran a 4.33 40-yard dash. I was at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. When we watched that, I said to myself, Quinyon Mitchell just climbed up a lot of draft boards, and he earned himself the bag. So let's ask you this. This is the poll question for today's show. Would you rather trade and sign Patrick Surtain or trade up and draft Quinyon Mitchell? Share your thoughts with me down in the comment section right now. We're the most fan interactive channel right here on YouTube covering the Birds on a daily basis. Saquon Barkley jerseys, by the way, are available if you use that link down below. Pennsylvania Kid, Lehigh Valley, Whitehall High School, Penn State University, returning back to Pennsylvania to play for the Birds, F the Giants. Get those jerseys now at chatsports.com/Saquon jersey. And when you use that link, really good deals apply, but you can get some other Eagles jerseys as well. We'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of this video. Blockbuster trade target number 3. Marshawn Lattimore of the New Orleans Saints. Got off to just a terrific all-pro, Pro Bowl caliber start to his career. Last 2 years, he's definitely been banged up, which is why a lot of people around the league, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, think that he could be available via a trade. Other reasons. New Orleans Saints are always against the cap, always in financial hell. And Jeremy Fowler with that report that teams think he could be available via the trade market. A problem here, if you acquire him, is that he's played in 17 games over the last 2 years. Nothing too overly concerning as far as catastrophic injuries, just some injuries here and there. What gives you some hope that he can stay healthy, still only 27 years old, and prior to 2022, when since then he's only played in those 17 games, does have a track record of being healthy. Here are the financials with him. A trade pre-June 1, $31.3 million in dead money for New Orleans, $16.7 million in cap savings. A trade post-June 1, $10.6 million in dead money, $3.9 in cap savings. Has no guaranteed money, though, after 2024. That could be a reason why the Saints want to move on from him and eat that money in 2024. Could be a reason why Philadelphia decides to trade for him, because they know if it doesn't work out, they can just let him go after the 2024 campaign. Limited numbers here in 2023 because he was injured a little bit, and Isaac Yiadom stepped in and played very well in replacing him. Pro Football Focus overall grade of 67.4, coverage grade of nearly 70, 48 tackles, 8 pass breakups, 1 interception. Certainly a down year for him, but this is a player who twice a year has been going up against Mike Evans and has dominated, played very well in holding up against Mike Evans, who every year that he's been in the NFL has had more than 1,000 yards. That's pretty telling. And Howie Roseman said from the NFL owners' meetings, we brought back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. We brought in Devin White because we needed more swagger on that defense. And what did I say right after the Eagles season ended? Bring back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, because the Eagles need that injection of swagger in that defense. Howie Roseman watches the show. He agreed. He made that move. Lattimore, lot of swag. I want to include Haason Reddick here in this blockbuster trade discussion because Eagles have not agreed to a contract extension with him. There's still a possibility they could deal him. And this is pretty appealing to me. You look at some of the teams in the first round who could use another edge rusher. Jadeveon Clowney had a career year for the Baltimore Ravens this past year. He's going back to his home state. A little bit of a reunion of sorts. He just signed with the Carolina Panthers. So that means that the Baltimore Ravens might need an edge rusher and might be in the market for him. They always have a good defense. They had the best defense in the NFL this past year in 2023. They always have players who can get after the quarterback. So Haason Reddick certainly fits the bread and butter, the backbone, and the pedigree of that organization. They also have the 30th overall pick. So if the Eagles don't want to pay Reddick what he's asking for, do you trade him away? You get back 30 overall, and then you're at 22, you're at 30, and then you have 2 picks in the second round. 4 picks inside the top 60? That's something that I would like to do. And what it does for Philadelphia allows you to have a bunch of flexibility in the draft, where you, in the first 2 rounds, can draft an offensive lineman who can play guard right away, right tackle in the future. Once Lane Johnson hangs up the cleats, you can go cornerback, you can go wide receiver, you can go 2 linebackers in that second round if you want. There are a bunch of different options. Tight end, if you want to go Brock Bowers at number 22, because then you know that you can address defense at number 30. Bunch of different options that you could use in the chamber and a lot of different bullets that you can spray on your draft board for Philadelphia. Which of these scenarios, which of these targets, which of these trades do you like the most? Do you not like any of them? If that's the case, type F Chase. That's fine. You can disagree with me on this platform. That's all good. Here's our Super Chat menu for the show. All Super Chats get a shout out. $10 gets you in the running for a March jersey raffle. Romeo sent in another one. 20 for a beer cheers, 50 for a beer bong, 100 for a shotgun. Here's what Romeo had to say. top-notch content. My man, I certainly appreciate that. We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Romeo.
But we appreciate you. Romeo. 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 Thank you for that donation, my man. We're up to $20 in Super Chats. Another terrific audience here on the show today. And if you want to get on the show, one more segment until we get to our mailbag. Hashtag Eagles or send in a Super Chat. What we're going to do next, how did the new rule changes impact the Philadelphia Eagles? Stay tuned to find out. And if you want to get on our Eagles helmet, look how many gold stickers we have here. $50 gets you on the Eagles helmet, but I'm doing a deal until the end of this upcoming segment. If you send in a $20 Super Chat, you will get a gold sticker to go on this beautiful full-sized Philadelphia Eagles helmet.
Can't beat that, baby. Major discount.
Major discount.
Eagles are rent-free in Jake's head. They are rent-free in this dude's head right now, man. He's been in the stream for a minute.
Jake the Flake. Jake the Flake. Hashtag Eagles, send in a Super Chat. How are we doing on questions right now, by the way? Do we need some more?
Let's see. Yeah, look, plenty of opportunity to get. We only got a few questions in so far.
Cool.
So if you ask one right now, plenty of opportunity to get it answered on the show. You want to send in a Super Chat, you'll be guaranteed skip the line, get it at the front of the mailbag. So only a few so far. So if you want one, you want to ask something, it's going to get in there.
Al Capper said, I want the helmet. Screw the sticker. Helmet's pretty clean, my man. Helmet's pretty clean. Is Al Capper on here? I don't know if I see an AC. A lot of real ones on the helmet, though. $20 gets you on until the end of this next segment. How do the rule changes impact the Philadelphia Eagles going into 2024? That's what we're diving into next. Continue to hit that thumbs up icon, like the video. All right, segment number 3 as we continue to move along. LFG and LGB standing for Let's Go Birds. Yo, what's good? Welcome into the show. I'm Chase Sr., and you're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. Thanks for hanging out here with us and making today's show a part of your day. Coming up, how the new NFL rule changes impact the Philadelphia Eagles going into 2024. The rule changes being discussed and the new rule changes across the entire National Football League are as such here. There's a new kickoff rule, new replay usage. The hip drop tackle has been banned. A third challenge is in play for teams, and a reason to celebrate. The brotherly shove, also known as the tush push, also known as the most dominant and the most efficient play in football, stays. It's not going anywhere. Let's start off here with the new kickoff rule. We'll give you a refresher here. This is certainly interesting, and I'm excited about it. The new kickoff rule will see the ball kicked from a team's 35-yard line. By rule, 10 players on the kicking team and at least 9 on the receiving team will line up just 5 yards apart from one another, but no one may run until one of the 2 kick returners catch the football. If a ball is kicked into the end zone for a touchback, the ball will be placed at the receiving team's 30-yard line. If the ball is kicked between the 20-yard line and the goal line, the returners must field the ball and return it. If the ball goes out of bounds or fails to reach the 20, it will be placed at the receiving team's 40-yard line. For those of you saying right now, Chase, stop talking. I just want to see a visual explanation of what this means. Did you think that I didn't come prepared? Oftentimes when I went to school, I wasn't prepared. But on this show, I'm always prepared. So this is what it looks like here. Teams kick off from the 35-yard line. You see the kickoff start line. You see the setup zone, which is where the defense or the returning team is going to have to be on the quote-unquote line of scrimmage. And then you see the landing zone. What you don't want to do is kick the ball out of bounds or kick the ball in the end zone. The new touchback rules, again, 40-yard line. That's where the ball comes out to if the kick does not reach the 20-yard line or it goes out of bounds. So kickers are going to have to get creative, especially these kickers with the really strong leg who have been used to just booting the ball out of the end zone the last couple of years. 30-yard line, that's the new touchback if it's kicked into the end zone on the fly, and then 20-yard line if the ball rolls into the end zone. So if the ball rolls into the end zone, it's not the worst thing, the old touchback. The ball would just come out to the 25-yard line. And I'm intrigued by this new rule because this past year, 83.3% of kickoffs were touchbacks. That was up from 65.8% in 2022. And I think that teams can get creative with returns, running reverses, misdirection, delayed runs after the return. You're going to have to scheme up blocks. You're going to have to scheme up how to get to the returner. I like this. This is better than having no return at all. This takes skill. It gets the ball in the hands of skilled players, and it gives special teams players jobs once again. Everybody's saying football is dying. We're bringing back the return here, and there's an art to it. And special teams coaches are going to have to come up with ways on how to scheme ways to spring free their returners for big pickups. And the Eagles here, this is how this impacts them. They've bolstered their special teams unit. And Isaiah Rodgers expected to come back off that gambling suspension. He has a lot of return experience in his career. So too does Paris Campbell. So they're both skilled with the ball in their hand. You have Zach Bond, who has a lot of special teams experience as far as coverage goes. Oren Burks is one of the best special teams linebackers in the National Football League. So Campbell and Rodgers can be dynamic returners. Britton Covey has been one of the best punt returners in the NFL. I'm curious to see, because he's smaller in stature, didn't go back there on kick returns a lot because he'd get smashed, but now teams don't have that head start. Do you utilize Britton Covey as a weapon with this new kickoff return? I'm looking forward to seeing how these special teams coaches can maneuver this, how they can finagle it, and how they can scheme up some of these returns. That's what football is all about for me. So that's rule change number one. Rule change number two is the new replay usage. And we're also going to explain all of these rules just like we did with the new kickoff rule here. Here's the new replay rule. Instant replay can now be used in two additional ways. First, to determine if a quarterback was down or out of bounds before throwing a pass. Second, to determine if the game clock expired before the ball was snapped. This is new. The second rule does not include whether the play clock expired before the ball was snapped, which seems to be a bigger problem around the NFL. You know what a problem in the NFL is? And Philadelphia has proposed rules to change this. Why don't we just have play clocks show tenths of seconds? The Eagles have pitched for this the last 2 years. And what that would do, when the play clock hits 0, it's not automatically a flag. And it doesn't have to be, because if we were working on decibels or tenths of seconds, there still could be like 0.1 seconds left instead of just 0. So how this impacts the Eagles with all of this, it's going to include Nick Sirianni working with some game management here. And in 2021, 2022, I liked his game management skills. I thought he was on point. In 2023, kind of escaped him a little bit. He struggled in those areas. Do you like the new kickoff rule? Let's ask you that. Just type L for like, D for dislike. I really like it, and maybe I convinced you to like it. Today's show, by the way, sponsored by Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Use the code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your ticketing purchases. Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal before you check in. You can buy tickets in seconds with just 2 taps. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats, find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. There are also zone deals. You can pick the section. Game Time picks the seats for big-time savings. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less elsewhere, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHATSPORTS, $20 off your purchase. Terms apply. Again, use the code CHATSPORTS, $20 off. As for the hip drop tackle being banned, this is more so a rule that's going to literally impact all teams across the NFL. Many defensive players took to X, took to social media in shock that the NFL is moving forward with this rule. Darius Slay said, it's about to be a lot of missed tackles. And I agree with that. We're going to see a lot of missed tackles because players don't want to get fined. They don't want to get penalized. Philadelphia this past year did only miss 98 tackles. It seemed like there was a lot more in that playoff game against the Buccaneers. Their effort or lack thereof was a joke. And this rule is going to lead to a lot of missed tackles for all 32 teams. It's going to be very hard to officiate. And that's kind of my issue here. That's where my thoughts lie. More flags is always a bad thing. It slows momentum. It slows game flow. It drags things out. It makes the product more difficult to watch. And it's going to be tough to officiate because if officials don't call the flag in the moment, what's going to happen? There's going to be midweek fines where these players might make a play. They think they're in the clear, no flag. And then upon further review, they end up getting docked by the NFL. It's kind of unfortunate. Teams will also be given a third challenge in the 2024 NFL season. And I don't mind this because I think challenges are always good, especially if you convert on successful challenges. Teams will now be given a third challenge if either of their first two challenges are successful. Previously, coaches had to be successful in both challenges in order to secure a third. So kind of working off of what Major League Baseball has done, what the NBA has done, the NFL, if you're good at challenging calls, you're going to get that third challenge. Lastly, this is awesome here. I was a big advocate for the brotherly shove staying, and I said, look, why penalize the Philadelphia Eagles for doing something well? Why penalize the Philadelphia Eagles for having an excellent offensive line that gets leverage, that gets push, that masters the timing of the play? And why penalize Philadelphia for having a quarterback who can squat a house 500, 600 pounds? The Eagles this past year in 2023 had a 92.5% success rate on the brotherly shove. They converted on 37 of 40 opportunities. Why did other teams not implement or call the tush push, the brotherly shove? Because they didn't have the personnel along that offensive line. They didn't have the quarterback who literally would pick up 2 yards basically every time that they called that play. Other teams would try this. They would get stuffed because they don't have the center or guard play to get that push at the line of scrimmage. They don't have the quarterback who can also push the pile. Don't penalize a team for doing something well. No one likes us. We don't care. A fair question with this, how is the brotherly shove going to fare without Jason Kelce? And who's going to play center? Nick Sirianni did not say definitively that Cam Jurgens is going to play center, and we'll see who plays center and right guard. That could change the thinking for the Eagles here. Which rule change do you like the most? Which rule change do you like the least? Interested to see what you say down in the comment section right now. Theus Grizz, a $10 super chat coming in during that segment. And Theus is a first time super chatter. Let's go. I'm loving the moves this offseason. I'm hoping to see Reddick get this extension. I literally just bought his jersey. LOL. LGB. That's Let's Go Birds. If you want it to stand for Let's Go Brandon, you have that right as well. Theus, you entered our March jersey raffle. We will announce the winner next Wednesday, by the way, right here on Eagles Now. We're going to look at all of the super chats that have come in, $10 or more. We're going to spin that wheel, and we'll see who gets some new threads. Last call for our mailbag here.
Last call. We could use a few more questions. Let's see.
Theus just asked, what just happened? We showed you love for sending in a super chat. That's what happened. Kickoff is the best. Drop is the worst. The hip drop tackle from Al Capper. Carol, this is going to slow things down and make the games longer. I guess it's better for the views on watch parties. Spin zone.
Spin zone. There's always a spin zone.
Al Capper, I think by and large, officials are going to ignore the hip drop. Dumbest rule ever. But the NFL is going to enforce it, especially if injuries happen. Thea said, duck fellas. Throwing in some birds in the chat. Theus, what happened? You sent in a super chat. We celebrated that. That's what happened. All right, last call for our mailbag here.
Yeah, get those questions in right now. You got a question, hashtag Eagles. Ask us anything. Anything will get you on the show.
Last segment, and then we're hopping out of here.
Last chance to make your voice be heard here today.
Andrew Nathan, they mostly ban that gator roll when defenders roll on knees and ankles. Yes, pretty much. Andrew Nathan, great comedic value on X. Give him a follow.
So hashtag Eagles. Antonio Holmes, what up? My guy, I'm late. Hey, just in time for this last one, though. Just in time for this mailbag. It's never too late. LFX, the great question. Just follow what LFX did right there, man. Hashtag Eagles asking a great question.
Yes, sir.
Make Chase think a little bit, you know what I'm saying?
Make me think.
Carol, ask that again, but use hashtag Eagles. You used @Eagles.
Angela! Love your channel. Go Birds. Can't wait. Angela G. Angela G. Angela G. Here's that super chat right here. Al Capper, did y'all know Dallas sucks? How about them Cowboys?
Yes, sir.
21 gun? 21. Do you think that we will trade back in the first round? That's a good question.
All right.
Carol Hosey, hashtag Eagles, not @Eagles. Come on now. We're good?
Good stuff, good stuff.
Mailbag coming up, but also I'm going to surprise y'all. Because we're going to talk about a sneaky draft target that I would love for the Eagles. Who is it? We're going to get to that right now. Here we go, segment number 4. Welcome into the show. This is Philadelphia Eagles. Now I'm Chase Sr., and here's what's coming up. Should the Birds draft Georgia tight end Brock Bowers if he falls to the Eagles at 22 overall? We're going to discuss that. And then we're going to take your questions from all of the real ones who tune into the show by using hashtag Eagles or sending in a super chat during our live show. There is a reality in which the generational tight end from Georgia, Brock Bowers, falls to the Eagles at number 22. How could that be, Chase? It all depends on what happens with some of the quarterbacks in the first round. How many go? And if a lot of them go, we're talking Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, maybe Michael Penix, maybe Bo Nix, all before Philadelphia drafts at number 22. Some teams might not draft the tight end. They might go with a different need. But if the Eagles draft based on best player available, and that is their draft strategy, how could you disagree with the thought that Brock Bowers would be the best player available? I know Dallas Goedert is on this team, but he's under contract through 2025. And you can use both Dallas Goedert and Brock Bowers on the field at the same time. Can you imagine an offense with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, Brock Bowers, Saquon Barkley, and this offensive line? Goddard is a great blocking tight end, a very elite player. He's also a very good pass catcher. Brock Bowers isn't the blocker of Dallas Goedert, but he can be used out wide. He can be used in the slot. He can be used as a pass catcher. Goedert can do both, and defenses in turn will be very confused. They'll be flummoxed as to how they can stop this Philadelphia offense, and Jalen Hurts will have a bevy of weapons at his disposal. The other thought is that if you draft Bowers in the first round, he's under team control at a very affordable rate for the next 5 years. There's also this. Dallas Goedert has missed some time throughout his NFL career. You look at the year-by-year games played, missed some time in 2020, missed a couple of games in 2021, missed some action in 2022 with those 12 games played, and this past year, he played 14 games, came back very early from that injury. That's a credit to him. But nonetheless, last 3 years, Dallas Goedert has missed some games. And the Eagles tight ends behind Goedert, you're looking at Grant Calcaterra and Albert Okwuegbunam. They are not to the likes of Brock Bowers. Some financials in play here. Goddard's cap hits in 2024, $9.1 million, and in 2025, $11.8 million. I put these on the screen, and we talk about them because he's a pretty affordable player. And Brock Bowers will be a pretty affordable player. So it's not like he has this cap hit where when you combine that with the salary of Brock Bowers, you're paying and investing way too much into the tight end position. And Philadelphia right now still has plenty of cap space, and that cap space does carry over. You do have some needs on this roster. Offensive line, cornerback, safety, linebacker, wide receiver 3, and a backup running back. Can make the argument, cornerback would be a better selection in round 1. But is that player going to be better than Brock Bowers, who could play in this league for 10 plus years? Offensive line, you could use a little bit of depth there. There's no doubt about that. But you can also get an offensive lineman in the second round. Same can be said for linebacker. You can get a wide receiver 3 in round 2, round 3, and a backup running back. You're not going to take that player in the first round of the draft. That's why Brock Bowers could make some sense. And I think there's a world in which this totally could happen, because could Howie Roseman help himself bringing in Brock Bowers? He had a great career with the Georgia Bulldogs, couple of national championships, the production, unbelievable. He has the size of George Kittle, but he's even more athletic and he's faster and more nimble than George Kittle, and Kittle is an all-pro. 2021 as a freshman, Bowers, 56 catches, 882 yards, and 13 touchdowns in year 1 in Athens. 2022, 15 games played, 63 catches, 942 yards, and 7 touchdowns. He did have an ankle injury in 2023, kind of got that tightrope surgery, which Alabama has made very popular. But look at the numbers in those 10 games played. 56 catches, 714 yards, and 6 touchdowns. I'm warming up to the idea of Brock Bowers being the guy at 22 overall. What do you think? Should the Eagles draft him? D for draft, O for you think Philadelphia has other needs that are more pressing and more pertinent on this roster. I'm fascinated to see what you all say. As you venture down to the comment section, please make sure you subscribe to the show. There's a reason why we're approaching 74,000 subscribers. I think our content absolutely spectacular right here on Eagles Now. And if you want more stuff like this, thought-provoking content, interesting, informative content, this is your go-to spot. Romeo with the $10 super chat. Man, I'm already hyped for the season. Hopefully Kellen Moore can get our fundamental execution down and Vic Fangio brings some high-level performance to this defense. Let's go Birds. I think that the coordinator hirings of Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio are going to make massive differences. Last year, coming off a Super Bowl, Sean Desai had 1 year of play calling experience. Kellen Moore has many years of having a top 5 offense. Brian Johnson had no experience calling plays at the NFL level. Vic Fangio has been in the game for a long time, where he's looked at as one of the most respected defensive minds in the game. I think Nick Sirianni and the Eagles really knocked it out of the park with these coordinator hirings. It just helps you be better prepared, both in the lead up to the game, but also at these in-game decisions. And the track record is there for both Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio. I'm really excited about it, especially when you factor in the Eagles were incompetent at points offensively last year, and they were incompetent all year on the defensive side of the football. They were a mess. Theus Grizz, $10 super chat. Let's go. I'm loving the moves this offseason. I'm hoping to see Reddick get this extension. I literally just bought his jersey. LOL, LGB. Don't panic. The LGB doesn't necessarily stand for Let's Go Brandon. During our live show, we were saying LGB for Let's Go Birds. Don't get your panties in a wad. Theus is just saying, let's go Birds. And Reddick, we'll see what ends up happening with him. This is a fascinating conversation here because he's put up better numbers than Brian Burns, but Brian Burns just got 28 mil. Myles Garrett's making 25, and Haason Reddick isn't quite the player of a Myles Garrett, but is he better than Brian Burns? He's been more productive, and the $16 million that he's owed in 2024 is non-guaranteed. If he does go somewhere else, still not a bad jersey. Grew up across the bridge in Jersey, went to Temple, and had 27 sacks in 2 years with Philadelphia. It's a pretty damn good 2-year campaign for Haason Reddick, but hopefully he's back as he's going into that age 30 season. All comes down to the price point. Antonio Holmes, certainly a real one, always in the comment section on our videos. What 2 players are a must in the draft? If you're talking position, I would say cornerback is the most pressing need right now. I wouldn't mind the Eagles going offensive line in the first round. I get it. It's not sexy at all. But you need to start building the trenches. You can get a guard now who turns into a tackle a little bit later. I think wide receiver 3, backup running back, 2 other positions there. Safety, linebacker, all of those needs are certainly pressing for the Eagles. I'll give you this, Antonio. My dream draft target is Quinion Mitchell, the cornerback out of Toledo. Spectacular player. If the Eagles can move up for him, that's a must in the draft. Albert Batiste. Should we start running the Philly shove with Saquon instead of Jalen Hurts? Albert, that's fascinating because Saquon ran the Wildcat a little bit with New York. I don't know if they're going to run him under center, but could they have a different iteration, a different wrinkle of the brotherly shove with Saquon Barkley in the shotgun? Now, that would traditionally be kind of a Wildcat formation. Do you put him under center? You could certainly do that. But what I loved last year about tush-push brotherly shove, the Philly shove, as Albert says, it's the creativity off of that play. The Eagles would run a little jet sweep, a little reverse. They'd run a little pitch. They'd run a fake pitch to the other side. Jalen Hurts would take the snap, delay, and then go a different direction instead of just following behind the footsteps of Jason Kelce. Throw Saquon in there. That'd be awesome. Have Saquon throw a pass where he goes Tim Tebow, right? Takes the snap out of the shotgun, runs up, over the top, alley-oop, Dallas Goedert, touchdown, EAGLES. Daniel Lennox, 100% trade for Patrick Surtain. What is the Broncos market for him? What are they asking for? How much do they want back? Because L'Jarius Sneed got that contract extension from Tennessee, $19 million per. He's not quite the player of Patrick Surtain. And the contract extension kind of put down and drove down the trade value a little bit as far as what the Chiefs got back. But a 3rd and a 5th for L'Jarius Sneed, I think that rules out Denver getting a first-round pick for a cornerback. In Denver, are they rebuilding? Yes. Do they want to pay a cornerback top-tier money when they are rebuilding, when they could have other positions they're trying to address? Team-building strategy would point to them maybe dealing him away. And the Eagles, they could use another top-flight corner opposite of Darius Slay, but once he leaves and James Bradbury might be cooked, then you have Patrick Surtain waiting in the wings to be that cornerback 1 or just your franchise cornerstone because he'd probably unseat Darius Slay as cornerback 1, but then you have big play Slay as corner 2. Pretty damn good. Reed Bartkus, after looking at many mock drafts, it looks like Kool-Aid, McKinstry, is who the Birds go with. What are some other serious options they could go with? Please, not Brock Bowers. Why not Brock Bowers at 22? He'd be a game changer. But I get why people wouldn't want to go that route. But look, at some point you have to plan for the post-Dallas Goedert life. Kool-Aid at 22 could make sense. Him coming off the Jones fracture does concern me a lot. Although he still ran like a sub 4.4 or a low 4.4 at his pro day with the Jones fracture. He's going to undergo surgery and is expected to be ready for training camp. But foot injuries, I just never like it. It really does scare me away. Kool-Aid McKinstry is an option there. I think a few offensive linemen, depending on who falls, are in play for the Eagles. It could go Graham Barton, Tyler Guyton, Talius Fuaga, although I think he's going to go early. Troy Fatanu, the offensive lineman out of Washington. You could go Amarius Mims there too if you want a developmental project. You could go Nate Wiggins. You could go Terrion Arnold. If you wanted to go wide receiver, you'd have your choosing of A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Troy Franklin, Brian Thomas. I think Xavier Legette will be available in the second round. Keon Coleman available in the second round. You could go that route. If you want to go defensive tackle, Braden Fisk out of Florida State. You could go another defensive tackle. The Illinois kid is pretty intriguing. Jerzon Newton, he could be there. There are just so many options for the Eagles at 22. You know, it's also an option, in addition to trading up, just trading back. Andrew Nathan, how about Chop Robinson as an edge rusher if you lose Haason Reddick? Like, again, so many options. Andrew Nathan, Chase, I see a lot of analysts mocking Peyton Wilson to us at 50-53. Does his injury history concern you? If we do, 2 ACLs and an ankle injury in 3 years, I'd prefer to have Cooper DeJean or Colson at linebacker. Cooper DeJean's good. Colson at linebacker, good. That's Junior Colson that you're talking about. You could probably get him in the third round out of Michigan. I more so think the Eagles would go linebacker in the second round. They don't have a third round pick right now, but could they trade one of their seconds to go in the third? That's certainly an option. Peyton Wilson is an every down linebacker, and Peyton Wilson is a straight up dog. His testing numbers were really awesome, but the injury issues just concern the heck out of me. My player comp for him is kind of like a Luke Kuechly. And Luke Kuechly was the best linebacker in the game for a really long time. I'm pulling up the Peyton Wilson testing numbers. He ran a 4.43, 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine. And he ran that at his size of 6'4", 233 pounds. 10-yard split, 1.54. That's really, really good. Has length, good athletic profile, but the injuries dating back to high school. It's not just in college. It's going back to high school. It really does just worry me, and I think that you could go other linebackers that you don't have to worry about those injury issues with, that you could also draft a little bit later. Edgerrin Cooper, would you rather go with him over Peyton Wilson? I think I would. Lion Fighter, who should start at center and why? I was pretty surprised that Nick Sirianni didn't really give Cam Jurgens a glowing endorsement. He said, yeah, not guaranteed that he's going to start. That means that center and right guard are question marks for Philadelphia. I think in the end, it's going to be Cam Jurgens, but if Jackson Powers-Johnson is available at 22, I think he's going to be a good pro for the next 10 years. He was awesome at Oregon. We talked about his numbers during our mock draft roundup segment earlier this week. He could be the guy at 22. Or if you trade back, get another second round pick, 3 picks inside the top 60, or 4 picks inside the top 60. That's pretty damn good. And you could go Jackson Powers-Johnson a little bit later on. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into the mailbag. Don't forget to subscribe. It's always good to chop it up with everybody here on Eagles Now. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. We appreciate y'all. Hope you're all having a great weekend. Last call for Super Chats. Matt Levinson also drafting Brock Bowers makes sense in a way because Goddard has gotten hurt, missed time the last 2 years. If it's not Brock, I could also see them taking the center from Oregon. Matt, that's hilarious you said that. I literally made those points talking about Brock, and then we just talked about Jackson Powers-Johnson as you typed that comment. Great minds think alike, my guy. Great minds think alike. Earth saying go Birds.
Go Birds.
All right, 2 minutes on the Super Chat shot clock. we are going to sign off right after this. So you have 2 minutes to send in Super Chats. Now, if you send in a 50, we'll do a beer bong. You send in a 100, we'll shotgun. But we can't hang out that long because we got some other work to do here on Eagles Now today.
Just working hard.
Work hard, work hard, work hard. 2 minutes on the Super Chat shot clock.
Andrew Nathan, I would just draft Ben Sano from K-State. Same measurables and physical traits as Dallas Goedert. Let's see.
Pass with the 5. Stoked from a man, Darius Slay this year. Keep up the great work, brother. My man, I appreciate that. And yeah, like Darius Slay played well last year. The grades were pretty good. It's hard to put in stock of some individual players struggling because this whole defense was a catastrophic joke in 2023. I think with the better defensive scheme, you're going to see a lot of players elevate, ascend, and play a lot better. Pass, thank you for that. Cheers to you, my man. Where we at on the 2 minute Super Chat shot clock? 117. 117, that gets us up to 36 in Super Chats here. Cool Rains, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. Cool Rains, I like some of the mocks that you put up on your X page, man. Antonio Roberts, you don't like Trotter Jr.? I do like Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Good player. Another linebacker that you can get there. But Edgerrin Cooper, better athlete.
I loved what Jeremiah Trotter had to say about if his son
Not wearing the Cowboys jersey.
Can't wear it. Can't do it.
Can't do it. Cannot do it. Did we just become best friends, Matt Levinson? I think so, man. I think so. Antonio Roberts. Yo, man. Yo, Antonio. All right, 2 minutes have expired. We're going to sign off. Thanks to everybody for tuning into the show here today. A great Philadelphia Eagles Now live. Coverage to come throughout the weekend. Coverage to come the rest of this week because that's what we do. Actually hopping on a flight to Philadelphia on Friday, visiting some family in Lancaster. And that'll be a good time. Shout out to the 717, my hometown of the 610, everybody in Philly 215, and everybody watching worldwide. For Chip, I'm Chase. We out. Go Birds. See ya.